Hi everyone, my name is Glomilin Beloy from BS Ed English, and for today's presentation, we are going to talk about the periods and movements in literary criticism. So in this performance task, we are going to pick at least three literary movements from the module, and we are going to contrast and compare and also integrate each of the movement to one another. So let's go. So the three movements that I pick are the classical, medieval, and Renaissance literary movements. So for the introduction, literary movements reflect the evolution of human thought, culture, and artistic expression. The classical, medieval, and Renaissance periods represent significant shifts in literature, each with distinct characteristics and contributions. So, by analyzing these three movements together, we can see how literary traditions evolved, how ideas were transmitted across time, and how each period influenced its successors. So, understanding these relationships provide valuable insight into the broader scope of literary criticism and the development of Western literature. Now, let us first define the three movements that we choose. Number one, the classical literature. The classical period, this is during 8th century BCE to 5th century CE, refers to the literature of ancient Greece and Rome. The key figures include Homer, Virgil, Sophocles, and Plato. So this literature is characterized by emphasis and order, reason, and balance. For example, Aristotle's Poetics defined dramatic structure, epic poetry, drama, and philosophy as dominant genres. Themes of heroism, faith, and the human conditions. Influence of mythology and gods in storytelling. The foundation of literary criticism through figures like Aristotle and Horace. Next is the medieval literature. The medieval period during 5th century CE to 15th century CE followed the decline of the Roman Empire and saw a shift in literary themes, largely shaped by Christian theology and feudal society. Notable works include Beowulf, The Divine Comedy by Dante, and the Canterbury Tales by Chaucer. This literature characterized by strong religious and moral themes, often didactic in nature, chivalric romances and epic poetry celebrating knightly virtues, allegory as a dominant literary devices, for example, Dante's Inferno, and oral traditions and illuminated manuscripts playing significant roles, the transition from Latin to vernacular languages. And for our number three, the Renaissance literature. The Renaissance, as during 14th to 17th centuries, marked a revival of classical ideals, emphasizing humanism, individualism, and artistic innovations. So the key figures includes Shakespeare, Machiavelli, and Petrarch. The characteristics of Renaissance literature include rediscovery and adaptation of classical works, a focus on human potential, individuality, and secular themes, expansion of literary forms including the sonnet and the novel, use of vernacular language to reach wider audiences, innovations in drama and poetry, exemplified by Shakespeare's plays. Now let us talk the evolution and interconnections of these three literary movements. These movements demonstrate both continuity and transformation in literature. So the classical literature, medieval scholars preserved and adapted classical texts often through a religious lens. The Renaissance writers revived classical themes but infused them with new perspective on humanism. The transition from medieval to Renaissance. The Renaissance challenged medieval scholasticism, shifting from divine centered to human centered narratives. Writers like Chaucer bridge these traditions by incorporating both medieval and humanist elements. So the coexistence in literary criticism, while each period had dominant themes, elements of classical, medieval, and Renaissance literature continue to inform modern literary criticism. The structure of classical drama, the moral depth of medieval literature, and the expressive richness of the Renaissance remain relevant in contemporary analysis. So, to sum up all, by comparing the classical, medieval, and Renaissance literary movements, we gain a deeper appreciation for how literature reflects the intellectual and cultural shifts of society. Each movement built upon its predecessors while responding to its historical context, demonstrating the dynamic and evolving nature of literary thought. The classical period laid the groundwork for literary forms and criticism. The medieval era infused literature with moral and religious depth, and the Renaissance revitalized artistic expression by focusing on humanism and individuality. Together, these movements have shaped the trajectory of literature, and their influences continue to resonate in contemporary works. By understanding these connections allows us to trace the enduring legacy of past traditions in modern literary criticism and creative expression. So, thank you for listening. I hope you learned something new today. Thank you very much.